Good morning, Julia Holger. How are you?
Hey Paul, good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It's Sunday morning is super exciting. Just brunch time, and it's actually all weekend. I've been looking forward to this just because our last show that we did, which was sterilization part two, got such massive response. And
Yeah.
I know I asked you guys. I said we're going to talk about next week, and you said we're talking about single entry clinical operatories and
Hopefully, finally, because we talk about this now since 3 weeks that we want to talk about that. So today's today, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, we talked about it 3 weeks ago, right? But sterilization's been such a hot topic. And interestingly enough, like single entry operatory is also part of that Siri conversation, I think. And your team is doing it. So I'm all ears. I want to learn.
So first of all, Julia, you are in front of the world, right?
Yeah, I
You
thought
really own the world now, right?
Remodel today, so I just brought everything with me because we can't travel, so we'll
That's
just
perfect. That's
I love
perfect.
it. Well, I think that's an important thing to highlight is both SurfCT, the company that I founded, and Kappler, we work worldwide, right? That is, you guys work worldwide as well, right?
Sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's wonderful. So that's important. So Julia, you have the whole world in your hands. There you go.
exactly. And
Keep
just like
balance. Keep balance.
that's what we're trying to do, and we're trying to get all the knowledge from the entire world and now bring it to the US. It's right here. Yes.
Oh, okay.
All this.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah.
the US. Oh, now I see. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's good because single entry operatories are not very popular here in the US at all. And in fact, when we've done jobs in Dubai, the offices there are very elegant, they're very beautiful, and they all have single entry. But here in the US, it's not so prominent. So
The single entry kind of is something that was coming back to the US about 30 years ago. And one or two major companies in this country, they just have seen that there is a problem. The problem was that assistants, they have to get out really fast out of the operatory to grab something they maybe forgot about. And as the new workflow and ergonomic, perfect, great solution was to have a redelivery that was blocking the exit of the room. So they invented to have a room with two doors, one for the doctor, one for the assistant, which is for me creating a problem in trying to solving a problem, but anyhow. And before they invented that, it was a single entry. So it's kind of really that there was a period of about 30 years where the dual entry was really popular. And there have been strong arguments for it. These arguments we not see as arguments, we see them as a good opportunity to make sure you have your workflow and your ergonomics set up the right way. That's why single entry does work. It works worldwide. I think there is one or two other countries in the world, they also have partly dual entry. There's, for example, Australia, sometimes they have that, but most likely the US is the strongest market having that. The rest of the world is working with single entry.
well, yeah. Well, I want to jump into that because I know when I was in these offices and I looked at that single entry, it really provides a very nice place to have a conversation. A nice quieter, it's a little quieter. So there's probably some other advantages to it. Yeah, I'd love to jump into it. Julie, what do you got for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I just brought two pictures because here in the US, everyone is just used to having that dual entry. That a lot of times when we try to speak about single entry, there are a lot of concerns why they think it will not work and they don't really see the advantages. So I'm just going to share a picture of an office that we did remodel where we actually changed that. So you should see my screen in a second. Okay, can you see it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so this is an office in Cupertino, California. And on the left-hand side, you can see what the office looked like before we remodeled it. So we changed the entire workflow and we changed all operatories from dual entry to single entry.
Wait,
So
so this on the left hand, this is the same office as on the right hand.
correct, yeah, you can see the windows. So that's the exact same
Wow.
office. And
Wow.
Before we start talking about the differences, my question for you, Paul, is when you look at those two pictures, what feeling do you get by just looking at them?
Well, the one on the left is certainly an office that I would not want to go to for many reasons. I mean, the energy there just seems low. But let's talk about the carpet. Oh my God, like the carpet is creepy. It was creepy for me before this mess that we're in. Now it's just like if you've got carpet in your office now, wow.
Yeah.
The one on the right, you know, I love the computer. Obviously, we do a lot of technology, but I mean, look at the overall look of that. It's clean, it's elegant. There's energy there. It's glass, it's sleek. So I would love to be a part of what's going on the right, but I would not go to the office on the left. And it's hard for me to believe that this is the same office.
So let me say one thing. I would go to the office on the left. You know why? Because there's a perfect opportunity to explain them what they can do to do it better, because it's not possible to do it worse. So that's perfect. It's a good client to help to make sure to get the setup in a way that he really can survive in dental, because the left one is really hard to
Right. Well, that makes sense. I mean, this is your specialty. You guys can take what's on the left and you can turn it into what's on the right. And I think
the right one is done. Nothing to do anymore.
Yeah. And I think having that vision is truly amazing. So
you just looked at it from a patient perspective, and that's great. That's what we have to do. That's good.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think what's also important, besides that one is more modern, one's less modern, is also the feel that you get when you imagine walking into that operatory. On the left side, you have a dual entry, you have even a hallway by the window that connects you to all the other operatories. So imagine that it's a busy office and you sit in that chair, you can hear everything that's going on. As opposed on the right side, you can close the door, you're all by yourself. And I think giving your patient that privacy just gives you a feel of being more, having more confidence in going to the dentist, because it's just more calm and not as busy.
Yeah.
So the thing is that sometimes dentists say, and their assistant, oh, I do not feel so great in an operatory with only one entrance. And I think this is something we have to just talk about, because they have just these questions that, hey, I have a nice setup, I have 2 doors, and I can easily get in and out. So why should I change it to have 1 door, which is kind of channeling my assistant into the room? This is definitely not the case, and we can see it perfectly on the right picture here that there's enough space in the back to get in and out for the assistant. And that's the great thing with the table on the cabinet, can be just pushed away and you can get out, even if the patient is lay down. So in this case, it's all the way up the chair, but if it's also down, there's enough space. So there's no reason.
Well, that's interesting. So the cabinet plays a large role in this, and you called it the table. I've heard that be referred as to the egg. Is that called the egg, or is that the egg? Right?
Because it's an egg shape, so it's also known as
smart. It's a smart design, and I tell you one thing: egg is one of the smartest pieces in the world because of the structure, how it's made. It's so stable. As you maybe have seen, sometimes there are trucks driving over. If you put them in the right place, it's fantastic. That's why the egg is a smart solution.
The incredible edible egg. I eat one every morning, so absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So. No, I think that's important, and it looks very elegant, and the way that egg moves in and out of the way is really great. But the single entry operatory, for me as an outsider looking in as a patient, it just looks to be more sterile. It looks to be more private. It looks to create a better experience. And the dual entry operatory, I mean, you're not going to be able to control noise. And even more scary, you got another possibility of someone coming in from the front over there, which is 3 entries. But there's something elegant about this single entry operatory, and I see it all over the world when we work overseas. So I think there's something really special here. And I wonder if doctors have the information they need to make that choice, or are they just kind of put into a 2-entry operatory scenario just because they are, has this discussion happened with the majority of doctors out there in the world?
I think it's really here that everyone is so used to working with two doors that they're afraid that it's not going to work if they do it differently. And most of the time, the first answer that we get is really, how can my assistant get out? And like Holger was saying at the beginning, what we ask them is, why does your assistant have to get out of the room? Because she shouldn't. So, and that ties back to our sterilization and storage conversation that we had last week, that it's really about how you organize that centralized storage to being able to prepare that your assistant does not have to leave the room.
So not only in IT, everything is connected, also in the workflow, the layout, the design, the setup, everything is connected, because you cannot have a single entry operatory if you not think through the whole office. And that's why it's so important to get the right team in place and not just think, go to whatever architect or whatever designer and get a layout and a design, and then you're good to go. This is not how it works, because these are so many bits and pieces you have to put together. It's like if you have to go to an office and they tell you, oh, I bought already the server, I already bought the cables, I already bought the monitors, can you set it up for me? This will not work, right?
Yeah, it will not work. It will not work. It's really about systems and having the right systems in place, and having those systems serve the doctor, serve the team, serve the patient, and come together to create that experience. So often I'll talk about Starbucks and a regular cup of coffee versus a cup from Starbucks, and what are the differences. And it comes down to systems and design and how it works. You know, my mother is 78 and she doesn't know how to send an email, but she knows how to walk into a Starbucks and order her favorite drink anywhere, because the design is set up in such a way that it's easy to do and it makes sense that way, you know. And when you're connecting with a patient in an operatory, I think single entry makes a lot of sense. And I was surprised not to see that much single entry here in the States, but I think it comes down to education and showing the options. And Juliet, last week you talked about just-in-time sterilization, which I thought was so important. And so that Steri Center that you're providing really also works together as a system with the single entry operatory.
Yeah, because like you can see on the left side, we have 3 cabinets. We have a lot of upper cabinets where we used to store all of our equipment, as opposed to having that centralized, so that we really only provide the cassettes, tubs, trays into that one operatory that we need for a day, which allows us first to control our inventory better, second, avoid that our assistant has to leave the room, and also to have the minimal cabinetry in our operatory that gives us more space, like you can see here.
Well, it's interesting you say that. So many times, because we do such beautiful technology, doctors will ask us for advice. And look, I'm not a designer, but I say, look, like less is more, less is more. And they have a hard time understanding how to create less in their operatories. They don't know. They're like, no, we need the storage, we need the cabinets. From an outsider, I'm like, why do you need that? But it goes back to the system. If you don't have the right sterilization system, then of course you're going to need that, right? So, yeah. So you guys are not only promoting single entry clinical operatories, but you're also talking about making a more elegant, making a more open and a cleaner platform. And we're not just talking about removing the carpet, which is, I think, you know, in today's world is you cannot have carpet in your dental practice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you're talking about an overall clean design that will have someone like me from the patient perspective say, hey, this is the place that I want to go to.
Safer, cleaner, right?
Clean and protect. Clean and protect. So there you
Clean
go.
and protect. Clean and protect.
Clean and protected. There you go. There you go. Well, that's exciting. Well, listen, I really appreciate you guys sharing this information today. Let's see how the crowd reacts. Maybe next week we'll jump into another section, or maybe we'll come back to single operatory, or single entry operatory. But this has been really, really eye-opening for me. And I appreciate it again. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I think we covered now a lot from sterilization to the operatory, but there's a lot more from the workflow standpoint and the integration of everything. And as we said, you say in your disclaimer, everything is connected. it's exactly what the IT and the workflow and the design is as well. So that's why we really have to see that our dentists out there understand really why we say this and give them really a proof that there's a reason why we say that and that we believe so strong in our mindset and in our way and in our kind of workflow and designs that we provide.
Yeah, and it's really a system and not just closing a door and thinking that everything's going to be better by just removing a door.
Well, you can see that here. You can see that here because I've always been saying, hey, less is more. Keep the operatory clean. And I hear this feedback that they can't do that, and here's why they can't. And to me, it's like, but now it makes sense. With you need to have all the systems in place to support the vision and to create the automation in the practice. So I think as we continue our chats, we'll talk about automation, workflow, and how all these things are truly connected. So,
like always in life, important. You not have to know everything, but you have to know somebody who knows it.
Who knows everything? There you go. And then we'll end it on that note that everything is connected.
Everything is connected. Safe and protect. Safe and clean. What was it? I don't.
Clean and protect. Clean and protect. And it's really.
You keep balancing the world, right? Just
bringing it together.
Bring it together. Exactly. Let's do that. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great weekend.
Have a great Sunday. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.